going to do a short video on square roots. The first thing you got to know is that square roots ask a question. They ask what number squared, so in other words, what number times itself, is the radicand, and the radicand is the number on the inside of the square root. So, for example, here, the radicand is 9. So, the way you read this, the way you say it is the square root of 9, but what it's asking, what you have to think is, this is asking what number times itself is 9. Of course, that's 3. 3 times itself is 9. So the reason the square root of 9 is 3 is because 3 squared is 9. For example, 25, well, the number times itself that is 25 is 5. What people often do, not with this, but when they get a little bit confused, is they end up saying that the square root of 25 is the square root of 5. And then they're kind of like carrying the question along with them. Like if I ask you what's your favorite color, if you answer green, you don't answer by repeating the question. The question is resolved. So, for example, here, this is asking what number times itself is x. Since we don't know, I don't know what x is, we just leave it just like it is. That brings me to things like this, the square root of 5. Now, this is an irrational number. The square root of 5 is a number that you can't actually write because it's a non-terminating, non-repeating decimal. We could do a decimal approximation, but the number times itself that's 5, well, this is what we write because we can't write it out. Now, I know this is a quick video. We're trying to save time here. Let's talk about how to handle something like the square root of a non-perfect square, like 20. See, what you got to do is you've got to factor the radicand. And when you're factoring it, you have to look for the biggest perfect square. Now, in this list of factors, the only perfect square we have is 4. And again, a perfect square is a number that you get by multiplying another number by itself, like 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. Those are all perfect squares. So anyway, 20 is 5 times 4, so the square root of 20 is the square root of 4 times the square root of 5, and this number right here is just 2. So 2 times the square root of 5 is the square root of 20. Now, people don't usually get too messed up on that, but when there's a number that has more than one perfect square as a factor, that's where it gets a little confusing. The thing is, you got to find the biggest perfect square that's a factor. So like 48, we've got 1 and 48. We've got 2 and 24. We've got 3 and 16. 4 and 12. 6 and 8, and that's it. All right. Now here we've got a couple of choices. You see, this is a perfect square, but we want the biggest one. So this is the pair of factors we're going to use. So 16 times 3, this is 4 times the square root of 3. So what we're saying if you take this number, 4 times the square root of 3, and you multiply it by itself, you get 48. So let's find out if that's true. So this would be 4 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. This is 16. This is, if you wrote it out, if you did all the work, without shortcuts, it would be the square root of 9. And the square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 16 is 48. If you wanted to confirm that on a calculator, 4 times the square root of 3 times 4 times the square root of 3, and you guys see that, equals 48. So anyway, I hope this video helped. Hope it was short and sweet, and we'll do another video pretty quick on combining square roots together.